Hello, I'm Dr. Sophie Miller, and today I'm going to reveal something that can completely change the way you take care of your memory after turning 50. While millions of people spend fortunes on expensive medications to improve brain function, there exists a millenary beverage that science has proven to be more effective than many nootropics sold in pharmacies. And best of all, it costs just pennies per cup. Can you imagine that the solution to protect your mind might be hidden in something so simple and accessible? If you're over 50 years old and notice that your mind doesn't respond like before, if you take longer to remember names, lose the thread of conversation in the middle of a story, or find yourself searching for where you left your house keys, pay close attention to what I'm about to share now, because this can completely transform your routine and bring back that mental clarity you feel you've lost. I'm talking about green tea. But don't think it's just another one of those generic health tips you've already heard out there. Green tea isn't just a healthy beverage or a passing trend, it's a true natural neuroprotector. And I'm not saying this based on assumptions. This is backed by dozens of serious scientific studies that show its incredible ability to regenerate brain cells, improve communication between neurons, and drastically reduce the risk of dementias like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. But why exactly does green tea work when so many other products simply don't deliver the promised results? Let me explain in a very clear way. Inside the leaves of Camellia sinensis, which is the plant where green tea comes from, there exists a unique combination of bioactive compounds that literally act as a protective shield for your brain. The main one has a complicated name, but you need to know it. It's EGCG, which stands for epigallocatechin gallate. This is a super powerful type of polyphenol that has a special characteristic. It manages to cross the blood-brain barrier, which is like a security filter for the brain, and reaches directly into the brain tissue where it's really needed. Have you ever stopped to think that most substances we ingest can't even reach the brain because of this protective barrier? But the EGCG from green tea has this free pass. When you drink a cup of green tea, 3 extremely important processes begin to happen in your body, and this is what makes all the difference. First, EGCG goes into action fighting free radicals, which are those unstable molecules that keep attacking and damaging your neurons day after day. By neutralizing these free radicals, green tea reduces chronic inflammation in the brain. And this is fundamental because brain inflammation is directly linked to the development of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. It's as if you are putting out small fires in the brain before they turn into a major disaster. Second, and this is fascinating, green tea contains an amino acid called L-theanine that increases the production of alpha brainwaves, which are exactly those waves associated with the state of relaxed focus and calm alertness. That's why, even though green tea has caffeine, you don't get that anxiety and agitation that coffee usually causes. L-theanine balances the stimulating effect of caffeine, and you stay concentrated but at the same time calm. Have you ever experienced that sensation of being totally focused but without that nervousness? And third, this synergistic combination of caffeine with L-theanine does something even more incredible. It improves what we call synaptic plasticity, which is basically your brain's ability to create new neuronal connections and learn new things, even after 60, 70 years of age. This means that your brain isn't destined only to lose functions with the passage of time. It can continue developing and creating new neural pathways. Unlike an isolated medication that acts on just one specific mechanism, green tea works on multiple fronts at the same time, protecting the neurons you already have, regenerating those that were damaged, and enhancing all the cognitive capacity of your brain. Let me tell you a real story that happened in my office, and that perfectly illustrates the power of green tea. Mrs. Maria, a 68-year-old lady, came to see me very worried and scared. She told me she was forgetting important appointments, could no longer follow soap operas that were a bit more complex, and worst of all, she felt that her head was slow, as if everything was being processed in slow motion. We did a complete battery of neurological tests, and fortunately, there were no signs of dementia, but she was really distressed about this progressive memory loss. So I suggested that in addition to some adjustments in her diet, she include 3 cups of green tea in her daily routine. 1 in the morning right after breakfast, 1 after lunch, and another in mid-afternoon. I made it very clear that it wasn't a miracle remedy that would solve everything overnight, but rather part of an intelligent, long-term brain protection routine. 3 months later, Mrs. Maria came back to the office and I could barely recognize the transformation. She arrived smiling, with shining eyes, and told me enthusiastically, "Dr. Sophie, I'm remembering everything. I went back to reading books, I'm doing crossword puzzles every day, and I even learned by myself to use that new phone my son gave me." Do you understand what happened? She wasn't cured of a disease because she didn't have a serious disease. She simply started nourishing her brain in a way that it could function at its maximum potential, and that made all the difference in her quality of life. But what exactly does green tea do that conventional medications don't manage to do? Traditional memory medications, like those cholinesterase inhibitors that are widely prescribed, act on just one very specific mechanism. They try to preserve acetylcholine, which is the most important neurotransmitter for memory. The problem is that these medications come accompanied by a huge list of uncomfortable side effects like constant nausea, dizziness, headaches, and insomnia. Green tea, on the other hand, works in a much more intelligent and complete way. An impressive study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed more than 13,000 elderly people and discovered that those who consumed green tea regularly had a reduction of up to 54% in the risk of cognitive decline. Imagine, more than half the risk simply eliminated with such a simple change in routine. In addition to that, neuroimaging research showed that regular consumption of green tea is associated with an increase in the volume of the hippocampus, which is that region of the brain responsible for long-term memory, for the memories you want to keep forever. Green tea also significantly improves cerebral blood flow, which means that more oxygen and more nutrients reach your neurons to keep them functioning at maximum capacity. And perhaps the most impressive benefit is the protection against beta amyloid, that toxic protein that accumulates as plaques in the brains of people who develop Alzheimer's. The EGCG from green tea helps prevent this dangerous accumulation. And you know what's the best part of all this? All these benefits come practically without serious side effects when the tea is consumed correctly, unlike synthetic medications. Now, you must be wondering, how exactly should I drink green tea to achieve these real results and not just a placebo effect? Let me give you the exact protocol that I recommend to my patients, and that is based on the most solid scientific evidence. The ideal is to consume 3 cups throughout the day, 1 in the morning to start the day well, 1 after lunch to maintain afternoon focus, and 1 in mid-afternoon. Just avoid drinking it after 6 in the evening if you're a person sensitive to caffeine, because then it might disrupt your sleep, and sleeping well is also fundamental for brain health. The preparation method makes all the difference, and many people make mistakes at this crucial point. The water cannot be boiling. It needs to be between 70 and 80 degrees Celsius. If you pour boiling water directly on the leaves, you're going to destroy a good part of the active compounds that bring the benefits. Let the water cool down a little bit after boiling, or heat it without letting it bubble too much, and then pour it over the leaves or tea bag. Let it steep for 3 to 5 minutes, no more than that. Always prefer pure green tea, without those sweetened versions or with artificial flavors that are full of sugar and chemical additives. The ideal are Japanese green teas like sencha or gyokuro, or Chinese green teas like longjing, which maintain all the integrity of the bioactive compounds. And here's a golden tip that can multiply the benefits. Add a few drops of fresh lemon to your tea after it's ready. The vitamin C from lemon increases the absorption of EGCG by up to 5 times, so you're literally potentiating the effects with this simple addition. Can you imagine the results you can achieve with these small, intelligent changes in the way you prepare the tea? But like any health intervention, even being natural, green tea needs some care and attention. It's safe for the vast majority of people. But if you take anticoagulant medications like warfarin, it's very important to talk with your doctor first, because the vitamin K present in green tea can interfere with the action of this type of medication. If you have gastritis or reflux, avoid drinking the tea on a completely empty stomach because caffeine can irritate an empty stomach a bit, so the ideal is to always drink it after some meal. And if you're one of those people who have difficulty sleeping or insomnia, avoid consuming the tea after 5 in the afternoon so as not to compromise the quality of your nighttime sleep. Do you know what the big difference is between protecting and remedying when the subject is brain health? Modern medicine, unfortunately, is still very obsessed with treating diseases only after they've already appeared and caused damage, when many times it's already too late to completely reverse the condition. But green tea teaches us a completely different and much more intelligent philosophy, which is the philosophy of active prevention. Protecting your brain now, while it's still functioning well, is infinitely wiser and more effective than trying to fix it after neurons have already been lost and cognitive functions have already deteriorated. Each cup of green tea you drink today is literally a precious investment in your lucidity of tomorrow, in your future independence and autonomy. It's the glaring difference between reaching 80, 90 years old with a completely sharp mind, making your own decisions, or, unfortunately, depending on other people, even for simple, everyday choices. And I'm not saying this based on assumptions or fashion trends. I'm basing everything I've said on more than 2,000 rigorous scientific studies that have been published about green tea and its neuroprotective effects. I can state with all professional responsibility that green tea is one of the most powerful natural tools we have available to preserve brain function throughout aging. And the best part is that it's within reach of absolutely all people. It's not an expensive or inaccessible treatment. Do you already do this in your routine? Have you already experienced feeling the difference in your mental clarity? Don't wait for symptoms to worsen. Don't wait to reach a moment of desperation when you realize you've lost much of your cognitive capacity. Start protecting yourself today, now, because every day counts when the subject is brain health. If you really want to protect your mind from the clutches of aging, recover that mental clarity and agility that seem to have stayed in the past, and feel that your brain has returned to functioning with the liveliness of 10, 15 years ago. The answer may be in something surprisingly simple like 3 cups of green tea per day, correctly prepared and consumed with consistency. I really hope you put this into practice because the results will surprise you. Leave here in the comments if you already drink green tea, for how long, and if you noticed any difference in your memory and concentration. Share this video with that person you love who who is also worried about brain health because good knowledge is shared knowledge. Subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss the next content, because I'm going to reveal 4 other foods that shield the brain against aging and that you probably already have there in your home, waiting to be used the right way. Until the next video, and always remember, taking care of your brain is taking care of your future. A hug from Dr. Sophie Miller.